Okay, so I think we're live. Hello, everyone. This is yet another Q&A live stream. I'm gonna have gonna open up an opportunity to ask for you folks to ask questions. I'll do what I can to answer. I don't claim to know all the answers, but I will try. So please feel free to ask me questions. Hello, hello, hello. I don't really have an agenda. I don't have like a topic to cover today. It's basically opening it up to questions. Anybody can ask me anything. Yeah, I'll try to answer. So feel free to use my time. Array questions can wait. Well, let's see. Oops. All right, so I'm getting a bunch of questions already. We will, as always, it flies by too fast. All right, hang on a second. Let's see what I can do here. Okay, I'm gonna tackle them at random. I won't be able to answer all of them. So yeah. Okay, so here's an interesting question which I'm gonna tackle: when not to use GraphQL. I don't know how many of you folks know what GraphQL is. It is kind of like this graph of data that you can expose as an API endpoint instead of individual REST APIs. The question really is, what are we gaining from using GraphQL? One of the things that you gain is rather than make 10 different requests to get some data, you kind of have one request which lets you query all the data that you need. Instead of hitting 10 API endpoints, you hit one API endpoint. So if you have that kind of complexity in your endpoint, then you would use GraphQL. And it has to be really worth the cost because you're taking on additional investment in terms of complexity when you're adding GraphQL to the picture. So REST APIs are very simple. GraphQL is a little harder. So something to think about. I am still unable to access. Kushal, are you talking about the videos? So here's the thing about those videos, right? So I'm in the process of porting over all of my course content onto YouTube. I'm doing this because multiple people have had problems with registering, with payment and all that. If you are an exclusive member on the YouTube channel, you should be able to access all the courses soon. There are a couple of them already. I'm in the process of adding more. YouTube has this limit on how many videos I can load at a time. So it's going to take some time for all those videos to come, but it's coming very shortly. So you don't have to worry about like, where do I go to the website? Do I go to YouTube? It's all going to be the same throughout. So hopefully that'll help. What's your take on Python? What's my take on Python? See, Python is a really interesting thing. I know people say, yeah, it's older than Java, but it's fairly new in the sense that it kind of got a second lease of life because of how well it works with a bunch of other sciences like data science and artificial intelligence. The fact that it's so easy to get started with means a lot of people whose main job isn't programming choose to use Python because they just want to get the job done. They don't care about writing code. So there's a lot of badly written code that does a lot of good stuff in the data science field and in the AI field. So that's the reason why it's kind of like, it's become so popular now. I feel like it's still a good language for people to get started with, and you might hit a limit some point when you realize, well, Python isn't fast enough, or Python doesn't offer the kind of type safety that you would need. So if you hit those limits, then you'd probably switch to something else. Or if you don't hit those limits, Python is perfect, right? So yeah. Okay. The last 3 years, I was working on a project where we're migrating a project from mainframe to Spring-based application. What's your advice to learn to sustain with respect to current tech related to Java? I would just look at what is relevant right now in the field that you're working in and application that you're migrating. If it's a web application, look at the web stack. Look at microservices. If you're building something which is more CLI, well, look at the CLI stack. So just find corresponding technologies. It's really hard to say well, you did mention Spring, so I'm guessing it's a web stack. How do you sustain? I don't know. Just get better at what you do. It's the best way to sustain. All right. I see a couple of questions about transactions in microservices. Transactions in microservices.
I see a couple of questions about our transactions.
I don't know if you guys heard that. It was Siri answering your question. Your tasty kitchen, by the way. Well, how do you get a transaction guarantee in microservices? It's hard to get a transaction guarantee. There are patterns for doing transactions. There is a popular one called the Saga pattern, but it is tricky, and you're going to be paying a cost for implementing transactions. When you go to microservices, you need to have a change in your mindset to go for a different set of priorities. Okay, so for example, if you have a single database, you have all these ACID guarantees, right? ACID requirements, right? Atomicity and all that stuff. You don't have that when you go to microservices because you have multiple systems having their own database. So you're going to have to give up on that. You have to be like, yeah, I'm not going to get ACID. I'm not going to get the kind of guarantee that I have in a single relational database. You go for things like eventual consistency. Yes, there might be a certain point of time where the database might not be consistent, but over time, overall, will it eventually be consistent? That is what you would think more about. I wouldn't rely on transactional guarantee. There are ways to do it, of course. I'm not saying it cannot be done, but it is not like the first thing you think about. You go for eventual consistency. Right. Is it good to change from front end to back end in the mid of my career? Yes, it is. It is perfectly fine. I have made a couple of those changes myself. I was primarily back end for the initial portion of my career. After a while, I got into front end. I've been doing full stack. It is perfectly okay. The key is to be good at what you do. No surprises there. As long as you're good at what you do, you're going to be fine. The problem is always going to be like you're just made a switch, right? You're good at backend, and you made a switch. You're good at front end. Now you're new to backend, so it's going to take some time for you to be good at it. So that's a little bit of like a period of vulnerability. You got to be careful there. You might have to put in some extra effort, but once you become comfortable, then you're going to be fine. We create a course for API gateway. I don't know if there's enough about the API gateway to actually create a course. I don't know, probably not. I wasted my 2.5 years in a small company with less learning in Java. What can you do for the future? Well, learn more. Why are you dependent on your company to influence your learning? The company is not helping you. Well, it's your learning is your investment in yourself. You can do it on your own in your own time, right? So spend that extra time and learn. I guess. Planning to change my stack from Ruby on Rails to Java microservices. What would you suggest? Yay, do it. No, both are good technologies. So, yeah. Love your Spring Boot quick start videos from a few years ago. Thank you so much. It's amazing how well it still stands. That's one of the things about Java, right? You don't see things move and change so rapidly. I still think that that's one of the best courses on Spring that I've made, and it kind of has stood the test of time. Even today, if somebody were to ask me how do I learn Spring Boot, I would point them to that course. It's still the perfect launching point. We create a course on microservice patterns. I don't have that in the plans, but I might do that. Why React instead of Angular? This question has come up multiple times. It is just more popular, slightly more popular now, but both are pretty good. I had a lot of content on Angular, and I just made one for React. That's about it. Changing domain from mobile developer to backend developer after working 7 years in the mobile dev. Is it a bad idea? It's not a bad idea if that's it, if that's what you want. I see this trend here. I see a couple more questions about like what happens if I change my specialization mid-career. Okay, it's actually fine. You don't have to worry about it. You are when you're new, either you don't have enough information to pick a good option in your career, or you don't have the freedom to pick a good option in your career. You basically get a job and then you just do whatever the first job that you get requires you to do, right? You learn that and you go with it. You don't have a choice. But as you get a little more comfortable, as you get aware of all the technologies, you'll be like, yeah, I like this one. I don't like that one. And that is actually a good opportunity to switch. Granted, it happens way before the mid-career point, but at any point of time in your career, if you realize, well, I know better now and I feel like this is a good opportunity for me, yeah, you can definitely go make that change. It's just that when you make that change, you have that the transition point where you're a little vulnerable. You don't know enough. You feel like what you're coming from, you have more knowledge. What you're getting into, you don't have enough knowledge. You're a little bit scared. So at that time, yeah, you have to kind of work hard a little bit more. Okay, future courses that you're planning. I have a course planned on JPA that I'm going to release on my website soon. I have like half of it recorded. I'm actually going to do it as and when I create the content. So if you haven't subscribed, you haven't joined, please go ahead and join. It's coming up in like the next day or so, like the first few set of videos. All right. I want to build something on my own as a startup, but need help and guidance. Could you help me? Yeah, it's. I usually don't take on these requests because I know that I won't be able to do justice to them. I have a full-time job, plus I teach in my spare time. Any time that I invest in teaching or any non-job related stuff, I try to make sure that it scales, right? Whatever I'm doing, it reaches a larger amount of people rather than a single person, which is why I don't do one-on-one teaching as well. If I do one-on-one teaching, I'm actually teaching one person. I'd rather make videos and put them out there for free so that more people reach it than kind of earn from one-on-one or in a single classroom environment. Even when I'm teaching a classroom, I do that only if I can record it and put it out there. So we typically don't go with this. But let me try and respond to you. I don't know if you have added more details about what it is that you're looking for. I'll make it a point to respond. A break from all the tech questions. What books, movies, TV shows are you currently enjoying? Here's the thing. I don't watch movies and TV. Okay, I'm not saying that because I want to seem like, okay, this is something virtuous that everybody's supposed to do. No, I hate that I don't watch TV and movies. I wish I would watch. I wish I could enjoy it, but I don't do it. I do read books. I read a lot of fiction. I used to do this 52 books in a year thing. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's basically a challenge where you're supposed to read. You commit to reading 52 books in 1 year, which is basically one book each week. So I have been doing that. Last year I didn't do it because of COVID and a whole lot of things that changed. This year again I plan to do it. So I read a lot of stuff. It's something that I like to do in my spare time. But I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. I have no idea who the popular movie stars are, what's going on, no idea about the controversies. It's like I'm a little bit ignorant in that case. So, yeah. All right. What advice do you have for preparation for data structures and algorithms? Any resources would be helpful. Just do more of it. Just do lead code. Nowadays it's just about lead code, right? So just do more lead code. Just do more, studying the algorithms. I know it sucks. You're never going to use it. Why do you have to read? Well, because you need to attend interviews. So you just have to prepare. That's about it. I have stopped doing those videos. I used to make these videos. I don't know if you folks remember, of lead code in interview style, right? With lead code, it's like they give you everything, right? They give you everything you need to know to solve the problem. I would actually tackle them in an interview style. I used to make one video per problem. Like I would go in the context of like, what if this question was asked in an interview setting, right? I would start with the bare minimum stuff, and then I would go with what questions to ask the interviewer and all that stuff. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done that. I need to do more of it. Joseph, thank you. And you're a new member as well. Well, welcome. Is it a good move from Java to Python? Again, answering the same question. Any move is fine as long as you're good at it. Okay, you would obviously not move from Java to Fortran. Okay, that's not gonna work. But anything, as long as it's popular, make sure you're taking the time to get better at it. There is gonna be a certain point where you're gonna be like, okay, I've moved to Python and now I've learned enough Python that I'm more knowledgeable here than in Java. Okay, so when you plan to move to something, plan to also get better at that thing than what you are right now. Okay, if you're willing to commit to investing that much effort, then move. Otherwise, don't move. I hope that makes sense. Tell me about AEM scope in Future. What is AEM? I don't know what AEM is. When will be having the dependency injection storytelling video after iterative patterns? I'm glad you like the storytelling videos, Arjit. I have actually scripted it. So here's the thing about storytelling videos. It's not like I just go on camera and talk. Okay, I have to script it. I have to draw the stuff. Like I have to have the narrative. I need to record. I need to coordinate the narrative with the individual animations. It's a lot of work. Right now, what I have for this video is I have the script. I need to do the rest. So let me make a note to actually do that sometime in the next. I'm not going to commit to two things. I'll just make a note that I need to do the DI video. All right. How do companies see a candidate if they have 2-year gap in industry experience? Is age also a criteria for a software developer job? I don't know. Gaps are okay as long as you're able to justify doing something there. You're not like idling away and not doing anything at all. As long as you keep up to date with the technology, gaps are going to be okay. Make sure you do hobby projects to show the gap, that you've been active in that gap. You can do enough work in parallel to kind of almost, make it like not a complete gap, but like you're working part-time, I would recommend doing that. Age is a criteria in one particular sense. Okay, if you have 10 years of experience, for example, and you're applying for like a basic software engineer job, and you are performing in an interview for that level, then you have an issue, right? You're like, okay, you've been in this industry for so long, why are you still at that level, right? As long as you're working, the amount of time you spend in a profession needs to reflect in the positions that you apply for and in your interview skills. You need to be able to perform at that level. However, if you haven't been working and you just have a certain age, which is beyond what you would typically see for that role, like, someone who's much older who's taking an entry level position, as long as their good age does not matter, right? It's not experience, it's age. So you need to differentiate between the two. All right. I know some people who've been asking about issues with the website. I hope you have emailed me. I'm kind of catching up on emails right now. I'll make sure I respond soon. But yeah, I'll tackle them over there. Are you an early bird or a night owl? I am a boring neither. I get to bed on time and I wake up on time, kind of. It's neither extremes. There is a lot of fluctuation that happens. Sometimes there's a lot of work. I sleep late. Right now, I'm going to be sleeping late. It's actually midnight here. So tonight, I'm a night owl. By the way, how are you doing, Kaushik? Thank you, Madhu. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Let's do a full stack RESTful Java project. Well, I don't know if you know, we currently have a series going on, which is building an IPL dashboard using a full stack React Spring Boot application. Okay, so please follow along if you haven't seen it. IPL is postponed, but our IPL dashboard series is not postponed. Okay, that's still going on. Speaking of, I hope everybody is staying safe, especially people in India. I am not in India right now, but it's very, very disturbing to see the news. It's I can't even begin to imagine the struggle that a lot of people are going through. So please stay safe, stay at home, and please get vaccinated. I don't do a lot of these kind of non-technical advice because, well, I'm just a ordinary programmer. What do I know to talk about other advices? But I think this particular thing is safe enough to say it's commonsensical. Everybody needs to do this. Please get vaccinated whenever you get a chance. I know it's hard right now, but please, if you have an opportunity, please do it. All right. Do you think they postponed IPL because RCB was playing so well? The pains of being an RCB fan, I tell you. It's I haven't been following IPL a lot. It comes and goes, but every time, man, RCB doesn't fail to disappoint. What should we learn if someone wants to learn front end as a Java developer? Should we focus only on Java? I don't know what makes you think it's a popular question. it's a lot of confidence that you asked me this question and think it's popular. Well, it's front end is kind of, you kind of have the initial learning path set for you, right? You know that it is JavaScript. You know that you're going to be working on HTML, CSS. So learn about that first. Get good at the fundamentals. And watch my course on JavaScript. I have to plug my courses. I forget to do that. Watch my courses on JavaScript where I cover, I have 3 courses on JavaScript, okay? And those are specifically for people who have Java experience and they're trying to get to front end. Okay, so there is one called JavaScript for Java developers. There is one called objects and prototypes. There is one called scopes and closures. Okay, watch those 3 videos. You're going to be all set to learn a framework. Okay, so those things are core JavaScript, which you have to learn no matter where you go in the front end world. Once you get that, you have the foundation to pick up any technology or any framework like Angular or React. So go watch those courses and then pick a framework. Right. Let's see. I got a question about lambda. Well, man of mystery, I can't solve that mystery for you if you cannot, if you're not asking the question. So stop being mysterious and ask the question. Can you make a video tutorial on Elasticsearch? I'll make a note. Java microservices have good Futurescope. Futurescope in terms of how widely it is used. Well, yeah, it is. It has a lot of scope. The whole technology stack behind microservices is obviously going to evolve. Right now, Spring Boot is kind of like the king there, but that's going to change. Some other stack is going to come up, but microservices itself is not going away anytime soon, right? It's going to take a lot of time for another pattern to come about and take that place that microservice, kind of like the thinking of microservices is right now, right? Microservices itself took a lot of time to become this popular. Okay, so with any of the backend enterprisey stuff, it takes time. It's very slow. So yeah, microservices is a very safe bet to get into and learn. My question was that is lambda expression faster than regular way of writing code, like how we write coding in Java 7? Faster in terms of execution or typing? It is a little faster to type lambdas. Execution, it's about the same. I don't see any differences. I would say rather than faster, I would think in terms of kind of like the programming paradigms that you have. Okay, it's a different style of programming, and that's what lambdas get you. It's not about doing the exact same thing, but with lambdas, it is thinking functional programming. For example, stream a collection and pass a lambda to transform every item in the collection. That's a completely different programming paradigm from loop and imperatively change every item in the collection. You see, it's like a different way of approaching a problem, different way of coding. It's a different paradigm. That is what lambda brings you. And with that, it might get you faster coding, but execution time, I don't really think it matters. Maybe lambda is a little bit slower than writing direct functions, but yeah, not significant enough that you even care about. Does AWS Cloud Practitioner matter for the fresher? No. If you're a fresher, don't worry about AWS and Azure and all that stuff. Focus on core programming skills. The cloud is really something you get into once you're a little bit more comfortable and you kind of have an idea about how applications are designed and architected. Okay, once you get into the cloud like AWS, you learn about what EC2 is. You learn about what Beanstalk is. You need to learn about what Docker, Kubernetes. Well, if you're a fresher and you don't have the experience, you don't know why any of those things even exist. Okay, you haven't felt the pain of the problems that people face for which these technologies were created. So I would say just go focus on the basics, code, and get better at coding individual apps. And then once you get that experience, you're gonna go to that cloud stage where you go into the architecture side of things. Can we expect reactjs tutorials from JavaBrains? Yes, I do plan to make reactjs tutorials. Again, the thing with my tutorial plan is that there is never a deadline. I really cannot commit to saying I'm going to get this done at the time, because this is not my full-time job. But yes, I do plan to do it. All right. I saw one thing over. Will Java replace Python for AI development? This is an interesting one, Sijo. I think that, I kind of talked about this in the beginning of this live stream as well. I think that Python has such a stronghold on AI and data science because it's easier to write. And most of that programming is done by people who are not programmers. And they kind of set the stage. And that's the reason why Python kind of has this momentum now. Right now, as a Java developer, if I have to get into AI, it's like I have to learn Python. There's not a lot of Java libraries which do the work. I feel like Java can replace Python only when there is serious limitations in Python which cannot be solved. And the only way to do it is by rewriting this host of libraries and frameworks that are in place now all over in Java. Or there is this completely amazing new breakthrough in AI, and there is an opportunity to start from the scratch. And for some reason, people choose Java instead of Python. Both of them seem unlikely to me at this point. So I would say no. It's very unlikely that Java will replace Python. I think it might just be like something else comes up and then Java is used for that, or some other language is used for that. Futurescope for a full stack developer. Well, there's a lot of scope. Web applications are not going away, right? And web applications require front end and back end. That isn't going away. So if you can do both front end and back end, you're not going to go away anytime soon, right? You're going to be in the industry and you're going to be very much in demand. So there's your answer. As a Java fresher, which framework do I learn first? As a Java fresher, you don't learn frameworks. You learn the language. You learn the concepts. You learn the fundamentals. Quarkus versus Spring Boot. Which one to choose for microservices? What is the future of Quarkus? Quarkus is actually a good option for microservices. There seems to be a little bit faster starting time with Quarkus than with Spring Boot, but it's a little misleading to go just by that starting time, because it's like if you build like a hello world microservice, you can notice the difference between, okay, this one Quarkus takes, I don't know, 500 milliseconds and Spring Boot takes 1 second. Okay, so Quarkus is like double the speed. Okay, fine. But if you're looking at a typical enterprise application on that's built by Amazon or whatever, some big company, well, you're looking at the speed difference, like the application load time is maybe 8 seconds. Okay, so you're looking at 8 seconds with Quarkus versus 8.5 seconds with Spring Boot. Okay, if you remove the framework out of the equation, the time it takes to bootstrap your code is the time it takes to bootstrap your code, no matter which framework you choose. So in that case, well, what big benefit does Quarkus provide? 0.5 seconds is not a lot. You might as well have more benefits that you get by your choice of a framework. And in that sense, Spring Boot does offer you a lot more because it comes with this whole ecosystem of stuff. Quarkus isn't quite there yet. So if you're looking at small, like quick microservices to just build, and it's not going to be complex, Quarkus is a great option to choose. What do you think about React plus Java, Java plus React for full stack development? What do I think? I like it. I did that in the with the IPL dashboard, and I think it's pretty cool. I found the template in JavaScript style of React a little bit odd when I first started it, because I came from an Angular background into React, but then it's kind of grown on me. I think there are ways in which you can manipulate the template that you cannot do with. I can't say we cannot do it. It's easier to do it in React than with Angular, so I like that. But both are good, and React plus Java is I think a great combination. How to quick start data structures and algorithms. I guess you mean how to quick start. I guess you can learn about data structures and algorithms, but there's in order to get good at interview, you gotta have practice. There's nothing quick about it. You need to just grind on leak code. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna do a few more questions before we wrap up. How long has it been? Oh, it's just been 40 minutes, so I think I can go for a little longer. Can I start YouTube channel for programming tutorials? There's already thousands of them. Well, Chandru, this is a struggle that I face. Not for starting video tutorial channels, but in creating videos, okay? I take a topic and like, okay, I want to make a video on this, and I see 100 other videos on YouTube, and like, why do I want to do it? But overall, my experience has been that there are people who like my style of teaching and they watch my videos even if there are other videos out there. So that's what motivates me to do it. So I would say don't let the presence of other tutorials stop you. If you like to teach, go for it. Don't do it for the money though, because it's a long struggle. It's just you need to be interested in teaching. That's what I did as well. Like when I started, it was like it was definitely not about money. I like to teach even before YouTube, so I just did that. All right. 2 years experience in service-based company. There was nothing to learn. On my own, I learned JSP, Servlet, Spring Core, MVC, Spring Boot Web. Is it enough for a job switch, or do I have to learn more? Depends on how many years of experience you have. For like 5-ish years of experience, this is awesome. You should be able to, as long as you can answer questions in the interview, I think this is great for just doing a job change, definitely. Are you thinking about building some open source software? I would like to, but it's tricky. I will be taking time away from teaching, which I like to do. So my ideal situation is, and this is one of the reasons why I do the Code With Me series. I built something which is open source, but at the same time, I'm making video content where I'm teaching as well. The only problem is I won't be able to contribute to existing open source. I'm going to be creating something from the scratch, and I won't be having the time investment to maintain it over time. So it's a bit of a challenge. I wish I could do more. What city from India are you from? I'm from Bangalore, Bengaluru. When you cross 10 years in the IT field, what skills should you have? What are the expectations? At 10 years of experience, you need to be able to drive yourself. You should be self-driven. You are more of a task giver than a task taker. A task giver doesn't mean you don't do it. You're going to do it yourself. But then you also should be able to, take a problem that's given to you, come up with a solution, do it on your own without a lot of inputs. Any plans of application deployment series? You mean like CI/CD? I can do that. There are these a bunch of technologies which make it simple, and one really good thing promising thing that I want to make some content about is GitHub Actions. How many of you folks use GitHub Actions? Anybody tried that out? It's a really cool way of integrating CI/CD into your open source projects, and it's free. What's the impact of AI ML on Java developer jobs? The jobs aren't going anytime soon. AI ML isn't in a state where it can write code for us. I saw this this comment, I think on Reddit or somewhere, where they said like when an AI is sufficiently advanced to understand, not build, okay, to understand what a product lead wants, well, then it can take our jobs. Right now, it's not even the technology and the coding which is tricky. It is about taking a requirement, understanding it, anticipating changes, anticipating things that aren't told, and then coming up with a solution. Well, that's very hard for AI right now because AI requires things to be told. And if the inputs aren't there, then it's a bit of a challenge. Loving your IPL dashboard series. Can't believe you're teaching such stuff for free. Thank you. Make sure you're coding along and not just watching. Okay, it's a lot of fun to do. Watch someone code and do it, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Is it me or did you change your camera and lighting setup? Yes, I did change my lighting setup. It is not. The light is not powered by the sun right now because it's past midnight. Okay, so I have changed it. I should probably make an updated desk setup video. I just use the excuse of being at home all the time to say, well, yeah, might invest a little bit more to improve things. Need help trying to access the latest Git content, but not able to access it and not able to change my access level. I don't know what access level you're in, Anshu. It should be the exclusive content tier. If you don't see that, then I don't know. I actually just created it, so maybe give it some time. And if you still don't see it, just post a comment on one of those videos if you can, or any of the other free videos, and I'll take a look. So the whole Git course should be available for the exclusive content tier members. There are like around 45 videos of some good stuff. So I hope you get that resolved and you're able to access it. If not, let me know. What are your thoughts on Kotlin as a server-side language from your perspective? I haven't used Kotlin a lot myself. I learned it a little bit just to see what the fuss is about. It has a lot of interesting ideas, but I haven't used it so much. So I don't know. I haven't seen the industry kind of adopt it so much either. Right now, it's primarily like a majority of it is Java. Kotlin has kind of picked up initiative primarily because of Google and Android and all that, but not so much with over the enterprise Java stuff. Seriously? I know you wrote JK there, but nah. I'm addressing a public forum, so I better not say stuff that I will regret. I'm not gonna touch those kind of questions. Okay, AI and ML course, please. It's hard to make an AI and ML course on with Java. You kind of have, or kind of like, you have to know a little bit of Python. I don't know if it's possible to make like conceptual level videos. I might give it a try. I have to think about it. Might make one of those kind of explainer videos like what is AI, what is ML. But it's tricky. As Java developers, there's a little bit of a block there, like a gate that you're gonna have to overcome. What do you think is going to be the next best framework after Spring? I wish I knew, Mohan. I would be learning it. I think nobody can answer that question. If somebody answers that question, they're lying. Okay, they don't know. Nobody knows this. It's like saying what is going to be the next big stock. What's going to be the score of the match that hasn't been played yet. Well, how do you know? You can just make assumptions, but nobody can predict this. So my advice to you is stop trying to answer that question. Okay, what's the next best thing? Nobody knows. Having 5 years of experience in Java, not happy with the current package, but looking at the current pandemic, should I go, switch, or wait? I guess there's no harm in looking for a job. There are some people who recommend just interviewing, okay? Interviewing, applying for a job, and seeing what works, and seeing how marketable they are, and seeing the package that they get. I'm not a fan of it because I feel like it's just a waste of time for others as well. I know some people don't mind that. It's like, yeah, well, what do they care? They're getting paid, right? But there's something in the back of my mind which goes like, yeah, I'm not interested in getting that particular job. Why am I attending that interview? I'm basically wasting their time, right? And I guess also my wife was working in recruitment, and she would, I have seen the amount of effort that she would put for getting a candidate, sourcing a candidate, getting them through all the required steps and all that stuff. At the end, if that doesn't work, it's like, did all that for nothing. So I guess in a way I empathize with the recruitment folks. So I don't apply and switch unless I'm really, really serious about it. But I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you are open to the idea, just apply and see what jobs you get. If you're not happy with it, then don't do it. The pandemic really shouldn't affect your ability to switch jobs. It might affect the availability of jobs. So the only way to find out is by just looking around. Can you please create videos on real-time apps clone like Amazon, Facebook, Twitter? These type of projects help everyone. Yeah, I might do that. The thing is, at a certain point, it becomes sufficiently complex enough to make a series impractical. IPL dashboard itself was a little too much work for me, right? It's not just about coding and recording. It's about editing afterwards. It's going to be a lot of work. So up to a certain level of complexity in the app, this kind of a series is feasible. If you look at the Code With Me series on my website, javabrains.io, I have one which is the word grid, right? You know about the word grid, right? You have this grid of words like a n by n or m by n grid of letters, and then you find words there, search for words, and then you circle horizontal, vertical, diagonal. So I have built that app using JavaScript frontend and Spring Boot backend, where I generate the words, the word grid using Java. That itself was fairly complicated. Okay, not complicated in the sense of like the amount of work required to the complexity of the application itself is basically how much things have to be done. And most of the times the devil is in the details. You can get a basic application running, but then it's going to look like crap, and then making it look good and making it, fixing all the minor bugs, that's going to take forever, right? So yeah, up to a certain level of complexity, I'm happy to do it. But beyond that, it's going to be infeasible. If you haven't checked out those Code With Me courses, Abhishek, do check it out. So there's that one. There is one resume portal where I take like metadata about a person and then generate a nice resume for them, right? Your previous jobs and then your experience and all that. You just provide them as bullet points to an API, and then there is a Spring app which generates a resume HTML page, and you can choose between a few templates. So there are a couple of simple apps built, so do check it out. For something like Amazon or Facebook, that's going to be a little too complex in my opinion, but I don't know. Let's see. Can we expect more coding videos for interview preparation? Yes. I haven't prioritized them lately because I've been doing full courses. I think after I complete the JPA course, I will probably put out a few more coding videos. I guess you're talking about the lead code stuff, right? Where you take a lead code problem and then solve it in interview mode. Yes, I do plan to make that. Okay. Let's see. Java or Python for the future? Both. Neither of them are going away. You take on Spring Boot versus Go. No apologies, I know you were kidding. Spring Boot versus Go. I don't know. Java is still the king in terms of enterprise, in the enterprise landscape. So Spring Boot is kind of like popular in that sense. Go has its fans, but it hasn't caught up in terms of kind of like the popularity. They're also very different things. Go is a language, Spring Boot is a framework, so can't really compare the two. Can you please speak a line in Kannada? Namaskara, Chetan Kumar avare, chennagidira. ಏನೋ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಮರ್ತೋಯ್ತು. Sorry. I don't get the appeal for speaking in the native language. I hear a lot of people ask me to speak in Kannada, and there was one other content creator who's from Andhra, and people were like, speak in Telugu. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal for it. But guess whatever makes you happy. I speak a lot of Kannada with my friends here. Not a lot of opportunities to speak in Kannada when you're in California, and especially because of the pandemic, we have been social distancing. Not a lot of conversations and kind of meetups happening. But when I do have an opportunity to speak, I do take it. It's always something which is close to your heart, no matter where you're from. Your native language is always close to your heart because it associates with your childhood, with your earliest memories. So it kind of hits home really, really hard. Wherever you're from, your native language is the best. Why can't I go back and see old stuff? Which old stuff are you talking about? All my video content is there. I haven't removed anything. I still have the first servlet video that I made back in 2010. Like I cringe when I see it, but I've still left it there because yeah, I never remove stuff. Why don't you start your own company? Well, I don't have the money for it, and I don't have the risk tolerance for it. So no, it's going to be a salaried job for me. I guess it's also a little bit about my upbringing. I was brought up in a very kind of like a middle class background in Bangalore, and it was always kind of like the value system was, yes, if you go do business, then there is an element of risk associated with it. A salary job is the best, kind of like that's the society that I was brought up in. I know that that's no longer true. It really depends. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, I see what you mean. Why can't you rewind? I think that's because I disabled the DVR. So I'll post this out there so you can kind of watch later. Yeah, I know what you mean now. You cannot rewind. I don't see your Java complete course. Go to my channel. Go to the channel page, which is basically youtube.com/JavaBrains channel. That's literally the link. You should see the members only section, which has 2 courses now. One is Java Essentials and one is Git Basics. Is your Hibernate course still valid? It's about 10 years old. Yes, it is a little dated right now. I am making a JPA course which will take its place, and it is going to be available on the platform shortly and on YouTube in maybe like a week's time. If you can wait for a week, don't take that Hibernate course. Take the JPA course and hold tight. It's coming. It's updated for 2021. Futurescope for Angular is more of the YouTubers are doing React projects. Don't go by what YouTubers are doing. Don't go by what's trending on Stack Overflow. These things are very misleading. In fact, React being popular in the YouTube community means that you have a whole lot of people with half-baked React knowledge in the market, and it's hard to tell how many of them are good. Okay, so the reality is not necessarily reflected in the trends on YouTube or the trends on Instagram. Well, I can make a blanket statement. Reality in life is not reflected by trends on any social media, period. Okay, I can vouch for that statement with 100% accuracy. So it really depends on what industry you're getting into. If you're getting into like a startup thing, then React is very popular. I know a lot of big companies still use Angular and prefer Angular because it kind of like it comes with everything in it, like all batteries included. How is job market in the USA for Java Spring Framework? What's the minimum max salary we can expect? I have no idea. I haven't been in the job market for quite a while now, so I have no idea. 420 are watching now. Okay. No comments there. Should I use spectacles for eye strain from laptop? If yes, could you please recommend some? What kind? Well, I would recommend using this blue light blocking technology. Okay, so there are monitors which block blue light. There are glasses which block blue light. So the thing to watch out for is the blue light. As long as you're blocking that, you're good. Naveen Reddy in the house. Hey Naveen, how are you doing? $420 people are watching. Still? That should change. TypeScript versus Java, which is better to learn in 2021? Depends on if you're doing backend or frontend / backend. Backend, go with Java. Frontend, full stack, go with TypeScript. Will you have a gaming channel? I am a horrible gamer. I spent 2 months playing a game and finishing it. And this was a game that the first game that I played and finished in 10 years. Okay. It's a game called Outer Worlds. It's not that mainstream of a game. It's not exactly Fallout or whatever else. But for some reason, I started playing the game and I finished it. And I'm so proud of myself because that's the only game that I've finished in 10 years. Yeah, so the answer is no. I'm not going to be starting a gaming channel. Five years in Java development. How do you expand my learning ahead? Should I focus more on DevOps thing or full stack development? I would say make sure you're strong in the fundamentals and you have good foundational knowledge for what you have actually already worked on, and start looking into problem solving. It's like the first few years, 3 or 4 years of your career is like you're told what to do, right? There is a problem. Somebody has already figured out how to solve the problem, and then you're told what to do. At 5 years of experience, I would recommend learning the problem solving skills, right? You look at a problem, nobody's going to tell you how to solve it. You are going to come up with the solution. Okay, implementation becomes secondary there. At this point, you should be able to implement once you decided what needs to be done. But solving the problem itself is a very important skill to have. This involves thinking about trade-offs. there's never one solution to the problem. There's always two, like solution A, well, you gain this, but then you lose this. Solution B, well, you gain this, but you lose this other thing. Now, what are you going to do? And once you pick a solution, how are you going to justify it? So these are the things that I would focus on. So whatever is going to empower you to take a problem and then build a solution for it, go for that. If full stack is that thing and you go like, okay, I want to build the next Amazon, well, you're problem solving there. You have an Amazon problem and then you're building a solution for it, then go for full stack. Or you want to solve problem for DevOps, solve it. But whatever you pick, focus on problem solving. Which area in Bangalore? This is getting a little too personal, so I'm going to avoid saying that for the personal safety of my family who are still in Bangalore. I'm kidding, of course, but it's a material. From where should I start? I found everything difficult. Well, then stop thinking about where to start. If you find everything difficult, it doesn't matter. Start somewhere. If it's all going to be difficult anyway, pick something and then go with it. Typically, the thing to start from is the language. Okay, just like the way we talk, right? We learn the language first, then we learn grammar. So learn the language, pick some language, and then get better at it. Just want to thank you. Learned a lot of Java concepts from your videos. Greetings from Mexico. Well, thank you. Thanks for posting. Greetings back to Mexico. Java full stack dev roadmap. That's not a question. I'm guessing you're asking. Roadmap is basically the Java roadmap and the JavaScript roadmap. You basically have two roadmaps if you're a full stack developer. So just do those two, I guess. Scope of big data and Hadoop with Java. There's actually good scope for it. It's there's a lot of data that needs intelligence gathered out of. Right now we have a problem of too much data and not enough knowledge. So this is actually a very good and very popular career choice, and it is going to stay that way in the future, because right now we have perfected the art of gathering the data, but we have no idea what to do with that data, right? We're still learning. So with Java or with anything, data science is big, and it's going to stay big for a long time. What am I currently working on? I'm currently working on building VS Code extensions. Surprise, surprise. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if you folks are interested in it. I can actually make some tutorials on building VS Code extensions. It's pretty fun stuff. It's like one of the things I like about it is I'm a developer myself, and I like to build tools that I would like to use. One of these things that I'm building right now is on my spare time. One of the things I'm building is to show presentations in VS Code. So you don't have to use PowerPoint or something heavyweight. You're a developer and you want to make presentations, you can make them directly from VS Code. I'm working on it. And if you folks let me know if you're interested in learning how to build VS Code extensions, I'm happy to make some content on it. What strategy do you use to design microservices? First of all, I think about if a microservice is required. Most of the times people, I think, jump way too soon into building microservices. You should you should go to microservices only if a monolith doesn't solve your problem. So that would be the first strategy. And once I do decide that there is a problem that I need to build microservices for, then it comes to, well, what is the problem? Is it the need for autonomous teams? There are multiple teams and they're stepping on each other's toes and deploying. Okay, well, that's a reason to build microservices. Well, in that case, the design of microservices is to solve that problem, right? You have separate services which address where individual service belongs to that team, and then you kind of decouple the deployment pipeline. There could be other problems, which is data security, right? One of the reasons why people build microservices so that they separate the data out, various regulations or whatever, or even privacy reasons. So you have one microservice which contains that data isolated out, and then everything else talks to it through the service so that the data is secure. But in that case, the design goes from there. So basically, it starts with why are you building a microservice, and try and solve that problem. Is Java server faces obsolete? Kinda, yes. I don't see that being used a lot. In fact, a lot of the server-side templating technologies associated with Java is kind of becoming obsolete. So this is true for JSP as well. Okay, not a lot of people use JSP these days. So most of the times you build the backend stack with Java, but you just expose REST APIs, and then the front end is mainly JavaScript and rich client applications. So yeah, it is kind of becoming obsolete. Tutorial on Linux for developers. This is an interesting idea. I do work on Linux a lot, but I had not thought about creating a tutorial on Linux. Can you folks let me know in the chat if you would be interested in this? So this would basically be like, how would you set it up? How would you run some basic commands, system management, setting up the development environment with Linux? Let me know if you would find that interesting. What's the significance of system design in IT and roadmap to learn? The significance is helps you crack interviews better. System design is commonly asked. Wow, I see a lot of yes answers for Linux. Okay, well, thank you for responding to that. I'll try to make some content on it. So yeah, system design is useful in so much as you get better at handling technical interviews, right? Job interviews, you are asked system design, but then it also demonstrates your ability to problem solve, which is again what I talked about a few minutes back. Okay, you demonstrate your ability to say, okay, given a problem, kind of look at the problem, understand it, tease out details from the problem that isn't given to you, and then come up with a solution, which means knowing all the technologies that are required to put in place to solve the problem. So yeah, that's a good skill to have anyway. Just like algorithms is a good skill to have anyway. Are you going to be coding bubble sort in your job? No. But knowing bubble sort is going to let you know that, well, an inner loop is probably not a good thing to have, right? Nested loops, probably not a good thing. This is not efficient. This is better. You begin to see patterns and then try and apply those patterns. So just good skills to have, irrespective of whether you're attending interviews or not. Is lead code or programming data structures and algorithms as a coding interview standard good? Do you mean as in, is it good that they ask it in interviews, or is it a good thing to learn? I don't know if it's a good thing that they ask it in interviews. It's like everybody's doing it, so everybody's doing it. And because of that, everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that at some point of time, it's going to go out of favor. It's like, there was a certain point of time when companies used to ask really crappy questions like, why is the manhole cover round? or how many balls can you fit into a football field? You guys know what I'm talking about? There used to be a time when they would ask this, and it would be like this great new technique to identify if a developer is good or not. Well, now that's gone, thank goodness. And now it's a lead code, right? They don't even start with easy or medium. You're given a hard lead code, and then you're expected to solve it in an hour. So it's kind of like a little bit of an arms race there. I hope it goes away soon, but right now it's not going to go away anytime soon. For now, at least it's there, so you have to learn it. So practice lead code. That's the perfect answer. Thank you. I just want to highlight it because it's like I like getting compliments. That's why. Kubernetes and Ansible tutorial. How about Terraform? Kubernetes, Ansible, Terraform. Are you folks interested in that? The danger with asking this is people who are interested are going to say yes. So I guess whatever I ask, there is going to be yes in the answer. I don't want to ask this because it's not likely that I'm going to be doing this anytime soon, so I don't want to commit to it. How do you remember so many things, and time to time, how do you refresh your fundamentals? Here's what I do. I remember the basics and I forget the details. Okay. And this is something that I would recommend if you're working in this industry for a long period of time. You will never remember all the finer details, all the syntax and every little trivial thing. What you do is remember the overall picture and then move on, learn something else, again, get the overall picture. When you need to build something, that's when you go and look it up. Okay. I remember just a couple of days back, I was doing something and I was, for some reason, I couldn't remember how to remove the first element from an array in JavaScript. Okay, actually, right now I don't remember whether it's slice or, well, no, it's either shift or unshift. I don't remember which one that is. Well, I don't care. I just look it up, right? So I don't remember the individual details. I know that it can be done. I know there is Google. So without Google, I'd be a horrible programmer. So, yeah, I just build something and then it comes to me. Confused between DevOps and software development. Should I learn both the things? Depends on your level of experience. If you're fairly new, I would say pick something. This one's actually easy to pick. It's about whether you want to build something that users use. Do you get satisfaction in that? Or do you want to build tooling which helps developers? Depending on that, I would pick something. If your decision-making criteria is about salary or stuff like that, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I'm not aware of the rate and all that. But as far as what gives you satisfaction, it's like, which one do you want to do? For me, it's definitely software development because I want to build something which someone else uses as a user. Of course, even DevOps, somebody else will be using it, but it'll be more of like a tooling side of things and not so much like an end user impact. So really depends on what you want to do and what gives you happiness. Faith in humanity restored. Yeah, I don't know about that. The last few years have been rough. My faith in humanity has been shaken quite a bit. But yeah, we will pull through, right? Modular design. Good resource on modular design. Each jar represents a domain and have layered architecture for the monolith. Have you heard about the book, The Modular Monolith? Or I think, let me see. There is let me look it up, okay? There is a book. No, perhaps not a book. It's an article that I read or whatever. I also noticed this Spring Boot framework kind of like sits on top of Spring Boot, which allows you to build modular monolithic applications. This is a great compromise if you don't want to go full microservice. You just want to have individual modules. You can just build jars for them. I don't know how much adoption Java modules have in the industry. I haven't seen people actually use them in the context of Spring Boot. Java has a full module system today. Okay, I should know because I wrote a book about it. Not a lot of people use it though. Both my book and the Java module system. Not a lot of people use it. So I think that would be a good place to start if you want to be innovative. But if you just want to go with what other people are using, I would just go with just standard modularity, right? Building jars and managing concern separation of concerns. Greetings from Armenia. Nice to see people from all over the world. Thank you. Setup tour 2.0. Yes, I will do that. I have made a few updates, so I will do that. What's the future of Spring Boot? I kind of already addressed this. It's not going anywhere. JHipster. I haven't tried JHipster lately. I tried it when it was Angular 1, and it was pretty good. I don't know what's going on there. I believe they have built a lot of extra stuff. They have gotten much more advanced, and I think they still use Angular, don't they? I think they use the latest version of Angular. But yeah. As a 15-year Java experienced Java person, how to grasp new concepts rather than just viewing the tutorials? By building stuff with them. I think you get a good idea of why something exists. We've spent 15 years, you kind of have seen standard patterns. These things keep repeating. So grasping would just mean like trying out something, building something, and you get the idea. Get the overall gist. Suppose you need to understand the source code of any open source project, VS Code and GitHub. What would be your approach to understand it? That's a good question. I start with the experience and try and find out what portion of the code base supplies that experience. So for example, let's say I'm looking at the VS Code source code, okay? And I want to see how a certain thing is implemented. So for example, there is a activity bar. I want to see how the activity bar is implemented. So I go to the source code and I search for activity bar, okay? Something that has activity bar. If not, I look at the text there. Maybe the text says Project Explorer. So I search for the string Project Explorer, get to that file and kind of go from there, from that file up, okay? I understand what that file is doing. And then I go one level up and like, where is that file being called? Where is it being referenced? And now I go to that file and see what else is that file doing. And then from there, I go one level up and so on. So I kind of work backwards. The reason I do that is if you look at a new open source project, I get lost. Like, I don't know what's going on. There are so many files. There are too many things. There are too many things happening. And it's had a history and it has evolved over time. So somebody who is already working on it will have an idea of where things go, what things go where. But if somebody new, it's like overwhelming, right? It's like everything is all over the place. So starting from one portion of the experience and building up gives me that context so I know what's going on. And then after I do that, I also run the code so I can kind of tweak things and like, okay, I want to make sure like I see Project Explorer, is that what it is? So I get the code, run it, and I change it. Usually I add like an exclamation point next to the text. I make sure that the exclamation point shows up when I am actually running it. And from there on, I go. So that's my approach to understanding an open source project. All right. How to contribute to open source, any resources? I would recommend looking at the open issues on any open source project. First, pick a project which is aligned with your skill sets, and then pick some open issues. And a lot of open source project has this contributing.md. Okay, it's a markdown file that they check in the root of the project, which provides guidelines on how to contribute to that open source project. Start looking there and seeing what the guidelines say. From there, you can also look at the issues that have been filed in that open source project. Some of the projects tag certain issues as beginner friendly, or good first issue is a common tag. So it's basically they have curated a bunch of issues that are a good starting point for somebody who's new to the project. So I would start there. Pick an issue, and then start working on it. Tutorial on blockchain, that's not happening. I'm sorry, Tulsi. I am not familiar with blockchain. So yeah, I don't think I'll be making, I don't have any plans of learning as well, so I don't think I'll be making videos on that. Which is good, HackerRank or Elite Code, it doesn't matter. Most of them share problems. You will find similar stuff there, so don't worry about it. When you go to either of those things, don't worry too much about the percentage. I think both of them do this. It's like how fast, how many milliseconds did your execution take? Like which percentage of execution is that in, and how much memory did it consume? That's very misleading because it doesn't give you the big O notation, right? It does. It looks at a very small sample size, and there are small things which fluctuate in what the reading is. So don't go for that. Look at the problems. Go to these platforms only to look at the problems and internalize how you would approach them in an interview. Jersey or Ajax, what should I learn? They're not related. Why is there even a choice between those two? Jersey is a backend framework for building REST APIs. Ajax is a front-end technology for consuming REST APIs. You can technically have both and build a full stack. You don't have to choose between the two. Yes, I noticed the reactjs request. Yes, I will be making those. Yeah. How should I start learning the MERN stack development? I would start with either React or Node.js. Start with those big components. MongoDB isn't a significant portion of your learning experience there. I would just focus on those two. Once you join the channel, what other content will be accessible to me? Right now, there'll be two courses that will be accessible to you. One is Java Essentials, like around 85 videos of core Java fundamentals, and kind of like getting you just brushing up your knowledge, interview skills, and all that. There's one more which is Git Basics, which teaches you how to work with Git and GitHub. I'm in the process of porting over more courses. So eventually all the courses on javabrains.io will be available on the membership tier on YouTube. So people who can't get the website can join on YouTube and still still get the same content. Do I need to know the basics of React to start IPL dashboard series? No, you don't need to do that. I walk you through every step of the way in React. Jersey or JAX-RS, which to choose? Jersey is an implementation of JAX-RS, so both. Learn Jersey and learn how to implement JAX-RS. I see people using microservices without need. How do we know when to use microservices? This is when you realize that a monolith doesn't work. Okay, monolith should be the default starting point, and at some point of time you realize that it's not working. Okay, there are some telltale signs. One of them being the application is too big, and you have various teams and they're complaining about each other, right? I pushed something, but it didn't work because that guy broke the code. That guy pushed something, and now I have to push my change even though I'm not ready because it's just one thing that goes out. Okay, that's a telltale sign for, okay, we need to split it. There's also other telltale signs like different teams who never talk to each other, but they're contributing to the same code base. They're working for different product owners. They're working on their own different stacks, and they don't, not stacks, it has to be the same stack in the case of a monolith. But they have their own plan and roadmap, but they're still contributing to the same code base. Well, that's a case where, okay, let's split that up. Data security, I mentioned that. You want to isolate the data and have stricter requirements for certain amounts of data as opposed to certain other amounts of data. So again, you split that up. So those are telltale signs for saying, yes, now we need microservices. What a new programmer should start on your channel? Well, if you're a JavaScript developer, start with the 3 JavaScript courses that I have, and from there go on to Node.js or Angular. If you're a Java developer, join and take the core Java course, and from there move on to Git and then Spring. That would be a good learning path. All right, I'll take a couple more questions and then wrap up. How do I know when I'm in tutorial hell? Well, when you're seeing tutorials which is not made by Java Brains, you know you are in tutorial hell. If you're seeing a Java Brains tutorial, you know that you are in tutorial heaven. I'm kidding, of course. Anything that you learn should always be followed by something that you implement. In fact, I recommend that you learn something with an end goal. Let's say you're learning, I don't know, Node.js, okay? Have an end goal in the back of your mind saying, I want to build this application, however trivial it may be, and take the tutorial to achieve that end goal, which means you're committing to yourself that after you watch a bunch of tutorials, you're going to actually spend time building it. What happens in that case is not only do you kind of break out of tutorial hell, but you also have the goal or working on that project influence what tutorials you watch. Okay, you're not learning for the sake of learning. You're learning because you need to get that thing done. Okay, if you flip that balance, you can kind of save yourself from getting into that tutorial hell. 27 and you want to learn Java, can I get a job as a Java developer? Yes, of course you can. It's again, age isn't so much of a problem in the software industry as opposed to some other industries. Age becomes a problem only when you have the experience, but you don't have the skills to back it up. Okay, if you have been working in Java for 5 years and you don't know enough Java to show that you've been working in Java, then it's a problem. If you are a 60-year-old person, just started working in technology and you're applying for a job, it is not going to be a problem if you can ace the interview. Java Brains monthly subscription or YouTube subscription, which do you choose? Do whatever works. I think the Java Brains monthly subscription is a better option because there is a nice portal and you can navigate and it'll remember what videos you've seen. There is this learning path page which lists the courses in exact order you should take. It's a platform meant for learning. Okay, YouTube is a platform meant for watching viral videos. So this platform is a better option, but if that doesn't work for some reason, YouTube is always an option. Make sure you block distractions. VS Code versus Eclipse. Use IntelliJ if you're using Java. You can use VS Code for Java too. I found out when I was pleasantly surprised by the IPL dashboard course that I made. I built a complete front-end, full stack application using VS Code. Worked great. So yeah, choose VS Code or IntelliJ. In-depth data structure tutorial with Java. Yes, I do plan to do it, but again, I keep repeating myself. I cannot commit to making videos because this is not my full-time job. I honestly don't know when I'll do it. I have a lot of plans. It's about getting time to execute those plans. So I don't know. Is it good for a person having 2 years experience in an MNC, Python and Azure, can join a startup in this current pandemic situation? If the job is good, if the pay is good, yeah, go for it. Yeah, if you get the job and you like it, go for it. The problem is always in finding a job in the pandemic, right? The opportunities are a little less. So if you have an opportunity, you already passed that hurdle. So it's like all the usual stuff that you look for. Is the job good? You like working there and all that stuff. Although the second question is a little hard to answer before you join. When can we expect you and Hitesh on the same screen? Well, I'm going to ask Hitesh this. I would love to have a chat with him live. Go ask him as well. I'm going to use Hitesh's strategy on him, right? Go ping Hitesh and say, well, I would like to have you talk to Kaushik from Java Brains. So go bug him as well, and I will tell him as well. I haven't asked him, but I will tell him as well. All right. I'm kind of getting the same set of questions, so I'm probably gonna drop off in a bit. Plus it is, oh my goodness, it's 1:15 my time, so I think I should call it a night. I will try to do a few more of these live videos. I don't know if Mr. Telesco is still here. He's been my inspiration for going live. He does a really good job of it. So it's like hopefully I'll take some inspiration from him and go live more often. It's like a way for me to make sure you folks are staying at home. So anything I can do is I'll be a little bit happy that I'm contributing in a very trivial way. All right, so thank you for asking some great questions. I hope you found this to be helpful. I will leave this video out there, and and you can review it. I know I haven't done DVR, so you can't rewind right now, but I'll make sure I leave this live stream out there so you can revisit it, and keep on following the IPL dashboard series. Again, remember, the IPL is postponed, but the IPL dashboard series is not. Okay, we are going to continue it and build a dashboard, and it is still going to be with 2020 data. We'll have to figure out what to do with the incomplete 2021 data, but for now, 2020 it is. Okay, so keep watching those videos, and stay safe, everybody. Get vaccinated whenever you can, as soon as you can, and take care of yourself.